I didn't think this was gonna work out. I didn't feel myself making it because of that. You guys saw that video where I show you the wheels in a Raptor liner? In that video, somebody sends me the steering wheel for free. All I had to do is pay for shipping. And it came in a pretty bad shape. And what I mean by that is the original leather on it was completely destroyed. And I looked at some kits, and those were, I don't know, anywhere from like $50 to $100 and something for a kit. But I recently bought some leather. I bought this kind of leather at Tandy. I got a lot of it, like a whole roll of it. Those of you interested, it's called Utility Side Pull Up something Assist Brown 3.5 to 5.5 ounce pull up lateral. Okay, now the catch with this leather hide was that it was the last one they had, and she gave me half off on it. So instead of like $200, it was $100. I went ahead and bought it. So a whole hide of this leather was cheaper than some of the steering wheel wrap kits. It wasn't my plan to use this piece of leather for this specific reason. I bought it for different things, like I made this little dump tray over here, and I was gonna make some dot bags and things like that. So I just wanted to get some leather, this type of leather. I've never worked with it. I've only worked with vegetable tan before. And an example of that would be like this knife sheath I made. That's vegetable tan that I handmade, hand dyed, and all that stuff. And that's what I'm used to working with. Now, this is new to me, but hey, I wanted to try it out. This is what ended up happening. Basically, the leather that came on it, the factory leather, was in just destroyed condition. Had a hole right in the top, and as you could see, it'd seen better days. So what I ended up doing is I took a razor blade and cut all the way around it, took it off, then I laid it over my existing leather and traced it out, and I didn't really think much of it. I ended up cutting these pieces out, and I just set them aside. I set them aside for a couple of weeks because I really didn't have much faith in this working. Then I ended up cutting the other piece, and you gotta keep its orientation, because once you take it off, it has like a weird, since it's been curved its whole life, it has like a weird shape to it. So you have to trace it the best you can, considering how messed up this piece is. It's not very easy to trace it, but it's doable. It's totally doable. I traced two pieces, cut them out, and just let them be. From the factory, they have them sewed together. For those of you interested in doing this, I'm going to give you some details on how this works. So what they do is they sew it together just like that, and then they overlap the seam and they glue it. And so when it goes on your steering wheel, it's like that, and then it gets all stretched out, and then it ends up working. Well, as you can see here, I have bumps here, and I have a bump here, because, like I said, I didn't think this was going to work out, so I didn't really skive it. I didn't skive the leather, so it was double the thickness, and I didn't overlap and glue it like this. I ended up just machine sewing this across. So the two pieces that I cut out, I machine sewed across here, and then I went around and I machine sewed across the opposite seam here. Okay, so when I put those two together, we ended up with a band, right? If you can imagine, we ended up with a band, and what I ended up doing is you end up lining it up as best as you can, stretching it over the steering wheel. And well, prior to doing that, you have to use a stitching chisel, and you have to go through and punch all these holes. And honestly, I didn't even line them up properly. Like, I just went through and did it. Like I said, at this point of time, I had no faith of this working. I'm kind of a pessimist, so for a pessimistic person, unless they've already seen it work or they really believe in themselves, which I do good work, but I don't know, I don't really believe in myself. So I struggle with that. So I'm being pessimistic. I didn't think much of this. I didn't think this was going to work out. So I ended up punching all the holes wherever I could in the brown leather, stretched it over the steering wheel, and somewhere online I read to start from the middle here or from the middle here. That was a mistake. You always want to start at one of the seam ends, and I'll explain later why. So that was one of the challenges I ran into, was starting from here, listening to somebody online. My intuition told me to start from the seam. For whatever reason, I listened to people online, started from here, and I'll show you in a bit how it got messed up in that sense. I made 2 mistakes already. So one mistake was not folding these over and skiving them and gluing them to itself after stitching them. So now we got these little bumps. And it's kind of cool because they feel good in your hand, and I guess I don't mind it after all. But if I was to do this for a customer or for somebody, or if I was to do this again, I would definitely want to do that the right mistakes. Boom, boom. Okay. Second mistake, starting stitching it from here. Now, it's called a baseball stitch. You use 2 needles, and you don't use a traditional saddle stitch like you would on like your regular leather. This is a little bit different. So you go down one, over the other, pull it, down one, over the other, pull it. So anyway, I started from here, worked my way to here, and it looked great. This whole portion looked great. As you guys can see, this is nice and smooth. Then I was like, all right, right on. Went from here, did all the way to here. That looked good. Then I went from, I did this entire run, okay, in one shot. And for the most part, it came okay. There's a little imperfection right there, but it's really minor, not a big deal. Obviously, I came around this way, like that. Oh yeah, and this was all fine and dandy, but I noticed here my leather started kind of twisting, so I had to fight its way. I had to fight it a little bit and twist it back. That was a little challenging. Then moving down here, as I started approaching the center point again, I noticed that the back side had a little bit more leather than the front, and I was off by 1 hole. So completely eyeballing the entire stitching chisel without counting the holes, without even paying any attention to it, just pretty much eyeballing it all the way around. I was only off by 1 hole, which was easy to fix. It put like a crease. I don't know if you guys could see it. There's a crease right in here. Hope you could see it. And there's a little bit of a stitching issue right there, but you know what? It's really not that noticeable, and it's all the way back down there, so it's not that big of a deal. So I could definitely live with that. I don't know, as far as the rest of it, to be honest with you guys, I didn't have much faith of this working up until I was like right here. And my mom was helping me a little bit to hold the wheel, because it was between using my overhead mount to kind of lean it against, and using my little stitching vise that I made out of wood that was holding it from the bottom. There wasn't, well, obviously the airbag wasn't in it when I was sewing it, but there wasn't much of anything else holding it, and it got pretty challenging. So my mom would just stand and hold it a little bit for me, which helped out a lot. I was being a pessimist all the way to here, and she's like, it's gonna work out. She knew it was gonna work out all the way from the start, but I didn't. Even when I traced it, I didn't put that much effort into tracing it. I just kind of eyeballed it. Like I said, I didn't have much faith in it working out. And then, as you could see, there's a little Sharpie mark right there, which I'll end up taking out later, or just leaving, which is another mistake, I guess. So let me flip it around so you guys can see the other side. I pretty much just shoved it in with this tool that I have behind there, so it's all nice and snug. So there you guys have it. This was a really fun project. As pessimistic as I was about the whole thing, it ended up working out pretty damn good, and I'm pretty happy with it overall. If you guys have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section down below. Of course, you guys know how to do that. Let me know if you like this. Let me know what you don't like about it. Let me know what you would have done differently. If you have any pointers, of course there's imperfections, but the camera picks them up a lot more than you could see them in real life. It's super tight, like I can't twist it. I mean, it's like I'm as hard as I can. It won't move a millimeter. So for those of you wondering if like the leather is really tight, it's super tight. It's not perfect, but it's got character. I love it. I'm excited to install this. Stay tuned for that video. Right on, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care.